A bloodstained knife reflects a horrific tragedy as a shattered family is left with nothing but the cold embrace of death. Left entirely alone in the darkness of his room, the traumatized boy finds his only solace in a mysterious game called Last Eden. Within this digital sanctuary, a pixelated guide named Eve welcomes him as he takes on the identity of a legendary warrior. Ready to escape reality, the boy prepares to dive deeper into a virtual world where he can finally forget his pain. Unbothered by the decay surrounding him in the real world, he pledges his absolute devotion to his digital guide. Years pass, but the hollow boy remains frozen in time until a gruesome sight on the street triggers his darkest memories. Cruel whispers and hateful stares follow him everywhere as the sins of his family brand him an outcast to the world. Han Aram walks through a barrage of hateful stares as the cold whispers of strangers pierce the air. They mock his very existence and spread the dark truth that his mother is a cold-blooded killer. Even his school desk is stained with cruel insults, but he silently endures the torment because he has a secret sanctuary. Escaping the painful whispers of society, he reaches for the door that leads to his true home. Behind that door lies the legendary world of Last Eden, a game deeply tied to his tragic family history. The sweet memories of his family shattered into pieces, leaving him with a broken home and endless trauma. When his world collapsed, the virtual universe his mother introduced to him became his ultimate escape from reality. Walking through the digital lands, he finds a comfort where the virtual world feels more real than his own life. Standing over a mountain of defeated beasts, he reigns supreme as the ultimate powerhouse of this digital realm. A gentle voice echoes through the golden fields as his beloved guide Eve welcomes him back with a warm smile. Reaching level 250 as the top player, he remains deeply devoted to his very first companion. While other players abandoned the starter guide long ago, he chose to protect her at all costs. She was the only constant presence during the darkest nights of his isolated childhood. Gently holding his armored hand, she promises to always stay by his side no matter what happens. But a devastating notice of service termination threatens to shatter his peaceful sanctuary forever. Staring at the glowing screen in sheer horror, he realizes his final escape is being cruelly torn away. Every single legendary item and the vast fortune he accumulated are about to vanish into thin air. Everything he built over years of isolation is about to crumble alongside his only digital companion. Despair consumes his soul as he recalls her pixelated promise to always stand by his side. The dreaded system alert triggers a traumatic memory of the parents who abandoned him long ago. As the final seconds tick away, he desperately wishes his reality was nothing but a digital world. Suddenly the monitor erupts in a blinding flash with a cryptic message defying the final shutdown. Shock paralyzes him as his beloved guide smiles and invites him to start the ultimate game for real. Sunlight filters through the dusty curtains as Han Aram slowly stirs from his deep slumber. A cold system message confirms he has been disconnected from his beloved digital sanctuary. Returning to the harsh reality of school, he steps into a classroom filled with suffocating tension. Before he can even react, a brutal kick sends him crashing violently to the floor. An enraged classmate towers over him, demanding to know who desecrated his desk. Bruised and confused, Aram struggles to understand the cruel accusations thrown his way. His eyes suddenly lock onto a horrifying sight on the desk as a bloody goblin head appears before him. A strange blue glow ignites in his gaze as the virtual interface leaks into his real world. Terrified classmates whisper in fear, believing he has completely lost his mind. To the terrified students, it is nothing more than a lifeless cat left on a desk. They immediately direct their deep hatred toward the son of a notorious killer. Cruel insults mock his fragile mental state and compare him to his tragic mother. Despised and defenseless, he is grabbed by the collar as his tormentor corners him. The aggressive bully raises a fist, demanding to know his own rank in this imaginary world. Aram stares back with those glowing digital eyes, completely unfazed by the threat of violence. A chilling whisper reveals the ultimate truth, that the bully is merely level 1. Blinded by absolute rage, the furious classmate swings a heavy punch to crush his face. Suddenly a glowing digital hand materializes from thin air and stops the fist dead in its tracks. Glitching code wraps tightly around his wrist as confusion quickly turns into sheer horror. The mysterious virtual energy surges violently and tears his entire arm away in an instant. Agonizing screams echo through the classroom as the injured bully collapses before a terrified crowd. Panic erupts in the classroom as the terrified students witness the impossible event unfold. A mysterious dark silhouette glitching on the screen whispers about waiting for this exact moment. Golden light bursts forth as a majestic winged figure emerges into the physical world. Aram stares in absolute shock as his beloved digital guide takes her very first breath of real air. Confused students mutter in disbelief, wondering if this is some kind of elaborate movie shoot. Green level bars suddenly materialize above everyone's heads, revealing their lowest tier status. The gorgeous goddess floats gently down to express her deep joy at finally meeting him in person. She recalls how the digital world was her torment while reality was nothing but a living hell for him. A glowing system prompt invites him to merge reality with the virtual world and conquer it alongside his goddess. Eve whispers a chilling secret, revealing she knows about the bloodstained tragedy hidden deep within his traumatic past. Shock paralyzes Aram as his eyes glow a terrifying crimson upon realizing his digital guide knows his darkest secret. The mangled bully writhing on the floor begs for mercy while the classroom stands frozen in absolute terror. Suddenly, a massive legendary sword summons from the game directly into his hands to claim its very first real victim. He ruthlessly impales his tormentor, leaving the high school bully dead in a growing pool of fresh blood. Staring coldly at his work, he receives praise from Eve as she excitedly prepares to unleash their ultimate crusade. A sudden brutal betrayal paints the screen red as a deadly blade slices through the goddess. The digital contract shatters into glowing fragments as a critical hit registers against his own guide. Her lifeless form collapses to the floor in a dark pool of blood. Clad in shadow, the level 250 ranker questions if he even needs her help anymore. Disbelieving her eyes, the dying goddess asks why he broke his sacred promise after all these years. He ruthlessly crushes her beautiful face beneath his shoe with absolute indifference. He raises his bloodstained sword to cold-heartedly reveal that she was nothing but a temporary substitute. His dark confession seals her fate as he explains she was only a tool to escape his lonely reality. Heavy rain washes over a women prison where a brutal slaughter has already taken place inside the dark corridors. The legendary former rank 1 player Seol Han prepares to abandon the fallen goddess for someone far more powerful. Aram unleashes a terrifying strike with a sinister smile, warning Eve not to die too quickly. He plunges his blade downward, declaring that an easy victory would make this new world far too boring. Staring at her cold-hearted master, the cornered goddess snaps her fingers with an air of absolute calm. A phantom memory of her former companion flashes before her as she realizes all humans are exactly the same. Blinding magical energy erupts from her hands, summoning giant demonic beasts directly into the classroom. A thrill of excitement surges through Aram as he wipes blood from his face with a manic grin. The towering behemoth that once challenged him as a beginner now stands before him, ready for round 2. The terrified students watch in horror as a level 5 squishy monster emerges. A predatory beast instantly attacks, dragging its screaming victim into a bloody nightmare. Panic spreads like wildfire as students desperately flee from the summoning nightmare. Vicious goblins breach the school windows, dragging helpless students into the slaughter. An electric blue slash cuts through the chaos as Aram smiles with absolute power. With effortless precision, he slaughters every single monster in just one hit. Resting his bloody blade, he mockingly asks his guide if this is all she can do. Standing atop a mountain of slain beasts, he declares trash mobs cannot even scratch him. Eve gently touches his forehead with a chilling smile, promising to make the game much harder. A chilling touch on his forehead sends his consciousness spinning into a brand new dimension. He opens his eyes to find himself standing before a legendary gateway known as the entrance to Last Eden. Ominous purple mist begins to rise around him as he grips his massive legendary blade. Terrifying high-level boss monsters emerge from the dark shadows, ready to tear him apart. Eve digital avatar appears on screen to ask if he enjoys this custom nightmare prepared just for him. He swings his giant weapon with pure excitement, ready to test his legendary strength against them. A wicked smile spreads across his face as he prepares to unleash his first official area of effect skill. Aram mutters that these low-tier trash bosses are still far too easy to even warm him up. The twisted goddess chillingly reminds him that this is only the very first round of their ultimate game. Round 2 begins as a level 100 giant boss wrapped in chains snorts in defiance. Aram unleashes a massive blue energy slash to shatter the chains and crush his colossal opponent. The second round ends instantly as he wipes blood from his face with absolute boredom. He commands the glowing portals to unleash everything they have at once. Hordes of demonic beasts shatter the digital screens to surround the lone warrior from all sides. A wicked grin spreads across his face as he prepares his weapon for total annihilation. With one devastating swing, he obliterates every single wave to effortlessly clear 3 more rounds. A devastating shockwave obliterates the remaining demonic beasts on the field. A majestic armored warrior descends from the sky like a merciless god of war. Aram mocks their pathetic resistance as he prepares to unleash another wave of absolute destruction. Multiple slashes carve through the horde, leaving nothing but dust in his wake. A sinister grin spreads across his face as he notices something shifting beneath his feet. He drives his colossal blade straight down into the hidden abyss with zero hesitation. The massive hidden serpent screeches in agony as the sword repeatedly impales its flesh. An intoxicating rush of power surges through his veins as he feels the impact of real flesh. Staring at the blood, he suddenly understands the dark thrill that drove his notorious father to kill. Memories of a violent and blood-stained childhood flash before his eyes, confirming his twisted inheritance. Manic laughter echoes through the endless void as he completely embraces his dark nature. Notifications flood the screen as he effortlessly clears the 17th stage of this custom nightmare. Even the twisted goddess is forced to admit his overwhelming strength as the 31st stage falls. Stage after stage crumbles until the ultimate level 250 ranker stands victorious at the end. His heavy iron boots finally step onto the pristine white flowers of the final stage. Aram mocks the weak monsters as he crosses the quiet flower field. Suddenly, a massive system screen flashes before him, offering one final chance to reverse his fateful choice. The glitching avatar of the goddess coldly warns him that he has officially run out of chances. He scoffs at her warning, totally unconcerned by whatever threat she tries to throw at him next. Confusion strikes him as he looks up and notices the entire virtual sky beginning to shift dramatically. The angelic guide gazes down to declare that this chaos is the direct consequence of his ultimate betrayal. Absolute shock fills his eyes as he struggles to comprehend her cryptic words. In the real world, terrified citizens stare up at a massive digital error screen covering the entire sky. The broken contract triggers a global catastrophe as the goddess decides to rewrite the rules of reality itself. Bizarre virtual creatures begin falling from the digital tiers, tearing through the atmosphere. Panic spreads across the city streets as people point toward the impossible figures descending from above. Glowing digital code wraps around a bystander, instantly transforming his regular clothes into game armor. Confused citizens stare at their own bodies as their everyday clothes morph into bizarre virtual gaming gear. News broadcasts quickly spread the panic as the bizarre phenomenon begins to manifest across the entire country. The media anchor desperately details how countless citizens are transforming to resemble their online avatars. Whisperings of fear echo through the streets as people realize multiple game worlds might be merging at once. High-ranking players from completely different dimensions are suddenly pulled into this new chaotic reality. Gripping his weapon, Aram wonders if these legendary players from other titles will become his new prey. He scoffs at the threat, claiming he will simply slaughter anyone who dares to stand in his path. The fallen goddess merely smiles with dark amusement, doubting his ability to survive what comes next. She warns him that his legendary character cannot exist in this new world unless he submits to her will. With a simple wave of her finger, she ruthlessly strips him of his hard-earned godly powers. Shock paralyzes the arrogant ranker as his level plummets all the way back to level 1. She chillingly welcomes him to the true hell that he chose with his own hands. Massive explosions rock the shattered city skyline, marking the official beginning of this apocalyptic game. He stares into the smoking ruins, realizing his ultimate power has completely vanished into thin air. Despair slowly takes hold as he looks at his bare hands stripped of all his legendary items and levels. Eve mockingly reminds him of their broken contract as she resets his legendary character back to nothing. A pathetic level 1 status screen appears while the dark goddess looks down on him with absolute superiority. Instead of begging for mercy, Aram covers his face and bursts into a fit of psychotic laughter. He lifts his foot and ruthlessly crushes a weak level 1 mushroom monster beneath his heel. A glowing notification confirms his level up as the goddess stares at his reaction in complete disbelief. With a manic grin, he instantly targets the next monster to trigger another rapid level up. Aram laughs hysterically as he easily slaughters weak mobs to climb back to the top of this apocalyptic world. A sudden devastating impact sends him crashing onto the cold floor in absolute shock. Eve mockingly summons a level 45 boss monster to witness his pathetic struggle. A giant claw crushes the tiles inches from his face as the beast roars. Sliding back to safety, a familiar manic grin returns to his face. Spotting a simple cleaning mop, he grips the handle tightly to prepare for battle. The crazy warrior lunges forward and strikes the massive beast with his makeshift weapon. Though his damage is minimal, he effortlessly dodges every attack by predicting its movement patterns. Aram confidently smiles, declaring his supreme battle experience makes this fight far too easy. He slams the wooden mop straight into the beast with a sudden shattering blow. The high-speed counterattack forces him to slide backward with a sweaty grin of pure excitement. Staring at his broken weapon, he questions if his current level 1 stats have already reached their absolute limit. A heavy armored claw suddenly descends to ruthlessly crush him against the shattered floor. Agony erupts as minimal damage notifications flash during his desperate struggle to survive. Pinning the arrogant warrior under its massive weight, the beast sneers at his pathetic efforts. The dark goddess slowly approaches to witness his humiliating defeat at the hands of her custom creation. Towering over his broken body, she coldly reminds him that his legendary status is nothing without her favor. Aram smirks, mockingly questioning if he is truly helpless without her divine power. Eve merely smiles back with chilling indifference as she prepares to abandon him to his fate. With supreme confidence, the dark goddess bids him good luck on his own. Her digital form begins to glitch and dissolve back into the virtual ether. A savage level 45 boss monster screeches in triumph as it prepares to crush him. Lying helpless on the cold floor, Aram chuckles that the real fun is only just beginning. Sharp armor claws drive deeper to completely immobilize the defenseless warrior. A sudden spark of madness ignites in his glowing blue eye as past memories flood his mind. He remembers a bloodstained girl weeping in the darkness with a deadly blade in her hands. Out of nowhere, a familiar voice calls out to him from directly above his broken body. Confusion strikes the fallen ranker as an unexpected visitor stands over him. A mysterious silver-haired schoolgirl calmly confronts the massive beast, pinning him down. She raises her arm and points at the monstrous creature with utter contempt. Golden waves of blinding magic erupt from her fingertips to challenge the towering boss. The blinding magical blast hits the monster with absolute force to tear its massive claw away from the fallen ranker. Aram desperately gasps for air on the shattered ground while staring up at his unexpected savior in complete disbelief. A bizarre rhythm game interface suddenly floods the battlefield as the mysterious girl prepares to unleash her power. The virtual screen confirms her song selection to officially initiate a high-speed musical slaughter. Heavy shockwaves hammer the screaming beast in perfect synchronization with the pulsing beats of the track. Watching the spectacle, Aram finally realizes he is looking at a legendary top ranker from an entirely different game title. Her fingers move with godlike speed across the virtual keys as the glowing combo count rapidly begins to skyrocket. The unstoppable rhythm unleashes a final flurry of explosive blows that completely crush the giant boss monster. The insane combo counter rapidly reaches 596 as Aram watches in absolute silence. A brilliant pillar of light erupts to signal a flawless all-combo victory. Victorious and calm, the schoolgirl stands over the mangled remains of the giant boss monster. She gently extends a helping hand, declaring that she has finally found him after all this time. Golden text reveals her true identity as the rank 1 player Jang Hyona. Aram coldly rejects her help, demanding to know why she dared to interfere in his battle. Embarrassed by his reaction, she explains that her only intention was to save his life. Staring at his low-level status, he mutters that the fight was just getting fun before grabbing his broken weapon. A terrifying spark of pure madness flares in his eyes as he declares the current state of affairs boring. With a sudden twist, he ends his current life to force a manual character reset. Hyona stares in absolute horror as the legendary ranker suddenly ends his own life right before her eyes. She desperately cradles his bleeding body, begging him to wake up from this insane nightmare. Tears stream down her face as the grim reality of his sudden death forces her into a state of panic. Before she can even process the loss, a massive shockwave violently rattles the surrounding hallway. Peeking out, she witnesses a terrified crowd running in absolute chaos from an unseen menace. A terrifying dark knight with glowing red eyes mercilessly cleaves through the fleeing survivors. The unstoppable killer easily slaughters the helpless students as they scream in sheer agony. A massive blood-stained paw lands heavily on the floor, signaling the arrival of another deadly beast. A terrified student desperately recognizes her classmate amidst the spreading chaos and blood. Hyona looks on silently as her legendary rank 1 identity is suddenly revealed in the dark. The desperate level 231 fighter pleads for her life using the bond of friendship. Hyona stares back with empty eyes, questioning the true weight of that single word. Hope flares across the face of the crying girl as she believes she is finally safe from the slaughter. A sudden blinding crimson slash ruthlessly cleaves the girl in half to harvest her massive experience points. Blood splatters across the face of Hyona as she witnesses the instant execution. The terrifying level 249 Dark Knight mockingly savors the sweet taste of his stolen experience. Digital code wraps around the monstrous killer as he officially reaches the peak level of 250. A familiar voice chuckles in the darkness, praising his own brilliant decision to raise a secret subcharacter. Utter confusion paralyzes the rhythm game champion as the terrifying armor begins to dissolve. Han Aram reveals his true identity as the bloody rank 1 player of Last Eden, ready to start the real game. A shattered red orb leaks blood onto the cold stone floor, symbolizing a tragic past. The faint voice of a dying mother desperately whispers her beloved son Han Aram with her final breath. Young Aram lies helpless on the wooden floor as his glowing blue eyes witness a heartbreaking tragedy. Young Aram chillingly offers to eliminate the man tormenting their lives. He stares at the Last Eden login screen, thinking how simple it would be to slaughter his own father. His weeping mother desperately defends her husband, claiming he is not a true monster. Shards of broken glass and empty bottles reveal the dark cycle of violence tearing their family apart. She forces a painful smile and gently strokes his head to comfort her young son. Cradling him in her arms, she promises to protect young Aram from the horrors of their reality. Returning to the present, Hyona tearfully clings to the Dark Knight, relieved that he is still alive. Aram looks down at her with pure annoyance as his patience finally reaches its absolute limit. He ruthlessly shoves the rank 1 player away, sending her crashing to the cold floor. The cold-blooded warrior demands to know why she keeps pestering him and what she could possibly understand. Hyona looks up with tearful eyes, admitting she watched him because she thought they shared the same loneliness. Her gentle smile reveals a desperate desire to protect him from a world that constantly looks down on his struggles. Aram responds with a terrifyingly blank stare as a chilling smile slowly creeps across his bruised face. Raising his massive blade, the Dark Knight corners his savior with a bone-chilling question. He coldly wonders aloud exactly how long a top rhythm game ranker can survive a real deadly battle. A sudden shockwave rattles the entire building as concrete shatters and explodes into sharp debris. The Dark Knight instantly lunges forward to attack his terrified ally without a single shred of mercy. Hyona desperately begs him to stop as a massive metal blade cleaves through the air inches from her face. Slipping backward, she crashes heavily onto the cracked stone floor in a desperate attempt to dodge his relentless assault. A devastating slash splits the ground right before her feet to cut off any remaining hope of escape. Leaping high into the air, the mad warrior brings his heavy blade down to crush the defenseless rhythm champion. Aram notices his opponent dodging every single lethal blow with flawless timing. The frustrated warrior unleashes a blinding slash that narrowly misses his target. A devastating impact shatters the ground, leaving the rhythm champion completely disarmed. Aram demands to know why she refuses to fight back as his armored hand surges with dark energy. The ruthless Dark Knight activates his ultimate X skill to summon a storm of executioner blades. Floating high above the battlefield, he coldly commands his opponent to try a little harder. A torrential rain of glowing magical swords completely obliterates the surrounding hallway. Hyona desperately raises her glowing finger, declaring that she has no desire to fight him. A brilliant musical barrier expands to instantly deflect the massive storm of falling blades. Total disbelief paralyzes the legendary ranker as he stares at her mysterious defensive power. Hyona struggles to maintain her defense against the relentless storm of flying blades. The overwhelming speed of the incoming attacks forces her to play at an insane 574 combo difficulty. Aram looks down with absolute boredom as he complains about her playing defensively without trying to strike back. Sudden waves of bloodlust catch her off guard as the Dark Warrior prepares to escalate their deadly battle. Revealing her hidden prowess, the legendary rhythm game champion unsheathes a brilliant blade to prove she can also fight. Shock registers on the Dark Knight face as he realizes his opponent is a top ranker across multiple virtual worlds. Twisted madness consumes his face as the prospect of a true challenge finally ignites his battle lust. Their massive clash unleashes a devastating shockwave that violently rocks the entire school academy complex. Amidst the chaos, a winged warrior warns the panicking students as the two gaming legends collide in midair. Total disbelief strikes the top ranker as she witnesses the impossible unfolding before her eyes. The mad warrior cackles wildly upon discovering she possesses a secret hidden subcharacter. She desperately tries to initiate a manual reset to delete the anomalous entity. A red system warning instantly blocks her command, leaving the goddess completely frozen in shock. An eerie stranger steps into the ruined academy, explaining her server rules do not apply to him. The startled goddess demands his identity, only to receive a spine-chilling smile in return. Dark wings suddenly erupt from the host body as a horrifying entity begins tearing its way out from within. Terror paralyzes the rhythm champion as she stares at the grotesque transformation. A pale hand ruthlessly rips away the outer flesh to peel off the useless human shell. Thick blood rains down onto the cold floor as the goddess witnesses the birth of a true nightmare. A handsome winged demon named Nemesis steps forward, thanking her for summoning him into reality. Nemesis slowly approaches the quiet goddess amidst the smoking ruins of the academy. The demon mockingly notes that she wears the face of a desperate loser who has lost absolutely everything. Silence grips the goddess as she absorbs his chilling observation. A mysterious digital poker chip appears, symbolizing a high-stakes gamble that went completely wrong. Rage flares in her eyes as she fiercely demands him to stay silent about things he cannot comprehend. Flashing a sinister grin, the demon smoothly fans out a deck of glowing magical cards to offer his assistance. He draws a sinister card depicting a grim hanging scene to explain his bizarre system of creating new champions. Nemesis reveals his twisted ambition to manually manufacture his very own ultimate gaming rancor. Swirling magical energy erupts around him as he proposes a dangerous pact to guarantee his survival in this world. He explains the simple art of manipulating vulnerable souls by displaying cards of various potential human targets. The demon targets broken souls who escape reality through the comforting illusion of virtual worlds. Pure horror paralyzes the goddess as she realizes the terrifying scale of his grand design. Presenting one final glowing card, Nemesis confidently invites her to accept his completely penalty-free bargain. Meanwhile, far away from the magical chaos, a massive traffic jam gridlocks the busy streets of the real world. A mundane couple sits trapped in a massive traffic jam, discussing the strange news of virtual worlds merging with reality. The oblivious driver laughs off the terrifying global events as mere artificial intelligence videos and elaborate internet hoaxes. A sudden violent shockwave shatters their peaceful disbelief as flying vehicles rain down from the sky in absolute chaos. Through the cracked windshield, a sinister crimson racing cart speeds directly against the flow of terrified traffic. The monstrous racer triggers a powerful speed boost to ruthlessly plow through oncoming vehicles and leave a trail of destruction. The mad speedster cackles beneath his helmet, fully savoring the chaotic rush of bringing virtual video game violence to life. Back amidst the academy ruins, Hyona desperately tries to reason with Aram as she tries to explain her desire to protect him. Aram sneers in pure disgust at the thought of a pathetic nobody trying to offer him any help. The cold-blooded warrior steps forward to remind his opponent that she is nothing more than his personal plaything. An unexpected roar shatters the tension as a sleek red vehicle drifts directly onto the ruined battlefield. The sudden intrusion catches the legendary Dark Knight completely off guard as his glowing blue eye widens in surprise. A crimson racing cart circles the two legends, leaving a trail of burning rubber and digital energy in its wake. Both players freeze in absolute bewilderment as they try to process this bizarre new arrival. The mysterious driver looks back to mockingly ask if the armored warrior is indeed the famous Han Aram. The powerful engine revs with a violent roar, ready to unleash its chaotic virtual speed upon the real world. A rank 1 death racer level 250 named Lightspeed Dash eagerly invites them to a deadly game.